Welcome back to Whoniverse Database. This is the third episode in this series, so if you haven't seen parts 1 and 2 then they're up on my channel for you to check out if you want. They talk about the 1,000-year War of Skaro and the origins and history of the Cybermen. But in this episode we'll be taking a look at something a little less known in the Doctor Who universe, at least among more casual fans. Today we're discussing the pocket dimension of E-Space. First encountered during season 18 of the classic series in what is now known as the E-Space trilogy, consisting of the three stories Full Circle, State of Decay and Warrior's Gate, E-Space is the pocket dimension just outside of the Prime universe, or our normal dimension, also known as N-Space or normal space. Unlike space in our universe, E-Space, or exospace, has a dark green tint to it rather than being plain black, and its other most notable feature is that it uses negative coordinates, whereas our universe uses positive coordinates. E-Space is generally believed to be a lot smaller than N-Space, though there are still a handful of planets that have been shown in the TV show and in expanded media. The planets currently known to exist in E-Space are Alzarius, Pterodon, the Vampire Planet, Balustra, Shapir, Isenfell and Apollyon. This video will mainly focus on the planets featured in the TV stories with the 4th Doctor because at the time of recording I have not heard any of the audios featuring the other planets, so any information on those will come purely from the wiki. However, I will give some information on each of them. Alzarius and Pterodon are often associated with each other due to the circumstances of Full Circle. When the Doctor, Romana and K9 arrive in E-Space and end up on the planet Alzarius, they discover a crashed starliner inhabited by humanoids who supposedly come from the planet Pterodon and are planning to return there in their starliner. By the end of the story it's revealed that the Pterodonians are actually Alzarians and come from the planet that they're currently on. They're also revealed to be descendants of the episode's antagonists, the Marshmen. Alzarius is notable for having identical spatial coordinates to Gallifrey, albeit in a negative equivalent, and is mostly a jungle-like environment with rivers, lakes, caves and marshes. Biology of the Alzarians was shown to be quite unusual, with the ability to quickly adapt to any new situation and environment easily, and they also possess the ability to rapidly heal injuries. Nothing else is known about Pterodon other than the starliner came from there some 40,000 generations before the events of Full Circle. The Vampire Planet is the name given to the world in which the last of the great vampires was hiding. Just to clarify, the great vampires were a race of ancient vampire aliens that had a significant conflict with the Time Lords. I won't go into too much detail on them in this video, as I plan to do a separate video on that topic in the future. So the Vampire Planet was the hiding place for the last King Vampire, who drew an Earth exploration ship called the Hydrax into E-Space. It turned 3 of the ship's officers into immortal vampires, who then went on to rule over a peasant population for thousands of years until the Doctor's intervention in the story's State of Decay. The planet was very heavily wooded, with a village in an open area and the remains of the Hydrax now acting as a great tower where the 3 who rule resided, the 3 who rule being the 3 vampire officers. The planet itself was in a terribly primitive state, with its only seen civilization being consistent with poor Middle Ages England. Shapir is a planet that's never seen and is in fact only mentioned when Rorvik's crew members, Aldo and Royce, mentioned that they remembered a Tharol hunt on the planet while in E-Space. At the tail end of the original E-Space trilogy comes the story Warrior's Gate. This episode sees the Doctor, Romana, Adric and K9 find their way to an empty white void that houses an odd-looking archway structure with an interior space of the same architecture. This is later revealed to be the pan-dimensional intersection at the mathematical boundary between N-Space and E-Space. Time-sensitive creatures called Tharols once maintained a mighty empire from here, ruling both universes and taking many species as slaves, including humans. At some point the humans rebelled and managed to turn the tables, building deadly robots called Gundam to attack their masters, making the Tharols a slave race to humanity, hunted and sold for their unique abilities to bypass established timelines. Because of this power, there was only one material in the known universe that could hold Tharols captive, dwarf star alloy, which was an incredibly dense and heavy alloy. As a result of the slave traders' ship being constructed of this material to keep their prisoners from escaping, its immense density caused the start of a spatial contraction event where everything in the Gateway Void was being pulled together until mathematical vanishing would occur and destroy everything. This was prevented when Captain Rorvik attempted to blast through the gateway mirrors with his ship's engines in order to try and escape E-space, but instead he destroyed his ship and crew and allowed the Tharals to escape using their time powers, as the physical representation of the gateway was destroyed soon after, when Romana and K9 passed through after leaving the TARDIS and the Doctor to help the Tharals rescue others of their species from captivity. That's all for the on-screen planets either featured or mentioned in the E-Space trilogy with the 4th Doctor. But there are 3 other planets that appear in a trilogy of audio set in E-Space featuring the 5th Doctor and his Season 20 companions. The planet Balustra possessed a lush terrain with large bodies of water and had a population of about 8 billion. Isenfeld was a cold planet covered in ice. It was also a laboratory experiment to simulate the collapse of E-Space and to find a way of keeping it constant. Apollyon was the planet where the TARDIS crash landed, and the crew found that the planet drained electricity from all devices, and the local people claimed that the stars were going out. So that was all the current information about E-Space. Really an interesting and thought-provoking concept with some pretty good ideas, and the setting for some of the first classic episodes I ever saw. This bizarre universe definitely has a lot of potential, and I'd love to see it make a return to Doctor Who once again at some point. In the next episode, we'll be finding out about the beings known as the Great Old Ones and their former home, the Pre-Universe. A topic that has had me loving it ever since I found out about it. So, I'll see you for that next time.